Mike Yoder he's a special guest coming to America Fest. I see it on his Instagram. It's great. He is in the midst of a lawsuit around a straight pride flag. I'm going to let him walk us through the details. Mike, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me on, Charlie. And if we want to have equality in schools, we should start by just displaying the American flag, since that's the only one that actually represents all of us. However, because of the pervasive push for these pride flags in schools, and because of them being, by definition, exclusive of cisgender people, who that just simply means that you are the way that you came out of the womb and you still identify as the same, straight people or Caucasian people. So if you're going to fight for equality, which they are not doing, and I'll get into that later, they need to have representation of everyone in the schools. So that's where the straight pride flag came up as an idea, where in no way are we arguing that these flags should be taken down. We're not arguing anything but us having the equal opportunity to put a flag next to the pride flags, because as a federally funded school or public schools throughout this country, you're obligated to comply with federal anti-discrimination laws, which includes laws regarding viewpoint discrimination, which violates the First Amendment based on the government expressing their view and suppressing any view that does not align with theirs.
So you have this great packet talking about a Title IX overview, if my Roman numerals are correct. No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation and be denied the benefits or be subjected to discrimination. And so you argue all public school districts are covered by Title IX, and the straight pride flag falls under that. Even the left-wing media that is covering your legal challenge says that you're probably going to succeed. So now talk about the specific in Colorado.
So in Denver Public Schools, they have a policy that actually goes so far as to vest a right in its students, teachers, and staff for the ability to hang a Progress Pride flag in their classrooms. However, if they were to want to hang a straight pride flag or any other flag, the school, quote unquote, the school does not allow for other flags. That is as textbook as it gets in terms of viewpoint discrimination. My client has been asking to hang a flag. He has gone through every channel possible. He has done everything that he could to keep this within the Denver public school system, by asking respectfully, by asking politely, repeatedly, explaining that this is not to take down a pride flag. This is not to censor that. This is not to silence this speech. It's more than welcome. He has no issue with it. We just want him to be able to have the representation for his twin children in the third grade who are straight, Caucasian, cisgender individuals. And the school has abjectly refused, even after receiving notice of all the obligations under federal law, to refrain from engaging in viewpoint discrimination. And once it gets to that point, that's when we filed suit. And because of the intentional nature of it, that's why we're going for punitive damages, because they know that they're discriminating. They know the law. They know their obligations, and they simply don't care because they put their policy above the constitutional rights of these kids.
So, I mean, and it seems as if you guys are on your way to winning, right? This is Denver Public Schools, very, very pro-LGBT. And you're saying, but shouldn't all speech be protected? How has this been received? Are they saying that this is a hate symbol or whatever nonsense that they do?
They actually haven't. They've just called for it to be taken down. There's a change.org petition circulating for whatever reason. I can unequivocally let anyone who has signed that petition know that there is no circumstance under which I will drop this lawsuit until we get an injunction and we protect the rights of all students in that district. And what has happened has been a cultural shift where it's really gone from a focus of prioritizing the constitutional rights and the Equal Protection Clause, and they've transformed this and they've morphed it into an argument about equity, which equity is nowhere in the Constitution to be found. The Constitution guarantees all Americans equality, and that's the equality of opportunity, whereas equity is the equality of outcome, and that's absolutely antithetical to the principles upon which this nation was founded. That's where the problem lies. That's where the problem remains, and it's veiled under trying to convict or trying to make decisions in America based on the court of public opinion, because they prioritize that now over the court of law when the law does not apply in a way that they see favorable.
So a spokesperson for the LGBT Colorado sent the following statement: a pride flag is not meant to be exclusive. It is designed to be inclusive. It is meant to draw attention and humanity to people who historically have been considered illegal, ostracized, excluded, and for far too long quiet victims of discrimination and violence. A straight pride flag responds to us versus them, wherein a pride flag lifts up all of us, dynamic that recognizes the too often quiet and quieted LGBTQ community. Okay. If anyone thinks that the LGBT community is quiet lately, they're insane. Your reaction to that?
My reaction is, first, how can you be in an environment where it's an us versus them mentality if we're already included to begin with? Like, by definition, your statement is intrinsically inconsistent and contradictory, because if we were already included in the pride flag, then it would not be us versus them. It would be, why are you getting additional protections in addition to those you already have? If it's an us versus them, by definition, we're not included. So you're contradicting yourself within the own statement. And secondly, if they want to talk about a history and looking back at our nation's history, I think it's fair to say that we have a lot of stains on our nation's history long term. I mean, look at the Korimatsu case, where we had the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. You have Brown versus Board, which was finally able to reverse Plessy versus Ferguson with desegregating schools. We have a lot of cases throughout the 60s and 70s that deal with race and those type of systemic problems that are outdated. These kids in schools were not part of the suffrage that occurred then. And the other thing about this is that, what about present day violence? And when I say violence, I don't mean just like your feelings get hurt, or you don't like something that's, you're told that you can't use a litter box in the high school women's bathroom because you identify as a cat. That's not violence. Violence is the 12-year-old girl in Oregon who had the daylights knocked out of her by a boy in the middle of a hallway, who I also represent, because of allegations of transphobia, which are absolutely meritless. This girl was beat up by a boy. So if we're talking about violence, there's present day actual violence being committed. You had the Tennessee shooter with the manifesto that specifically targeted straight white people. And that's where I have a line that needs to be drawn in the sand, because you can't just continue to spew a narrative when there's no factual basis to support it, especially one that's inherently contradictory.
So the question then is, do you hope more lawsuits like this are filed across the country, more challenges using Title IX to try to increase freedom of speech and representation?
Well, I actually filed this under the First Amendment because it provides a higher level of protection, since it's a fundamental right. It reaches the highest constitutional muster possible with strict scrutiny. In that packet that I laid out, it goes through various forms, such as Title IX. It goes into viewpoint discrimination. It goes into equal protection. But overall, the goal of this is that, because it's federal law, the way that this breaks down is that if you get one parent in a school district, it could be any school within the district. In Denver, for example, there's 205 schools. If you have one parent file suit and you get an injunction against a district-wide policy, that's 205 schools that this one parent is able to save, that this one parent is able to protect and help ensure that there is not this bias within schools. And also, we obviously know the degradation of which way this snowballs into the sexually explicit content that kids are being exposed to as a result of these flags. But without going further into that realm, parents across the country can do this because it takes one per district, and with federal law, it's not triggered on a variation of a state-by-state basis. Viewpoint discrimination under the First Amendment, the structure that we have it laid out with this lawsuit. I mean, I've even gone and made, we have flags. I have the packets printed out. We have, I'm doing everything I can to get these in the hands of parents that are willing to take these on. And if it's in a state I'm licensed in, my firm will file these lawsuits. I have other lawyers across the country. And, with you guys doing such a phenomenal job on college campuses, it also applies to, colleges, public funded or federally funded public universities. This could really be a game changer nationwide, because you don't have to change the formula. It's very straightforward for every single school. And we could duplicate that and make that really take over the entirety of this and rein in what's been going on with the LGBTQ movement getting preferential treatment over any other students. So yes, that is the ultimate goal, is, you have one parent per district. And then in federal courts, like the District of Colorado, that one case, if we get the injunction, that's going to set precedent within the district court for, the District of Colorado. I have something that I can rely on as a precedent to cite in the next case I file in a different Colorado school district. You do that all over the country, and it's very structured, where it could just really put the brakes on it and halt all of this going on in schools for good.
Mike Yoder, great work. See you at AmFest. Thank you so much.